real-time tracking and reaction time while the U.S. works to verify Mexico's reported results and to help them improve their systems south of the border. Mexico has agreed to halt animal movement in affected zones, which will help push screwworm back towards the Darien Gap and away from our doorstep. The entire Trump administration is working in one coordinated effort to prevent this pest from entering the United States. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, of course, helmed by our friend Dr. Marty McCary, underneath Secretary Bobby Kennedy, is identifying current animal drugs, whether authorized in the U.S. or abroad, fast-tracking those that would likely be effective against the New World screwworm. FDA has been a strong partner and is currently undergoing expedited avenues to ensure animal medical countermeasures are available. USDA and the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, are constantly monitoring our ports of entry, again, to keep the pest away. We are working alongside Secretary Chris Wright in the Department of Energy and Administrator Lee Zeldin in the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, on new innovations to combat the pest. More coming on that. And we will continue to take all necessary steps across the entirety of the federal government, our partners at the state government and in the local governments, to ensure that we keep this pest, this parasite, and others like it out of our country that threaten our economy and our way of life. Again, I want to thank Governor Abbott, his incredible team here in the Capitol and in Austin for their amazing partnership, their quick reaction. I again want to thank the great Sid Miller for his partnership as we work toward a quick solution to this risk. And with that, Governor, I think we're happy to answer any questions.
Sure.
Yes, obviously this is a massive economic challenge for them when we shut our border down and don't allow their livestock to be imported. But I want to give a big amount of credit to their Secretary of Agriculture, who has been very resolute and a good partner. Having said that, we have had major issues in Mexico. For a while there, we couldn't land a lot of our planes, which were dispersing the sterile fruit flies. This is a couple of months ago. We didn't believe we were getting data in real time. We didn't know what data we could trust. So that's the reason we shut the ports down, and they were not happy about that. They continue to push very hard for us to open those ports, but I have been very clear to them over and over again that those ports don't open until we begin to push the screwworm back. And so I think that's important. So we're making progress. The partnership is as strong as it has ever been. They have been very open to us hiring, significantly ramping up USDA employees to work alongside their team in Mexico so that we have data based on our staff, not just based on what they're telling us. You know, I'll defer to Governor Abbott. I believe that's a big point of debate right now in this next special session. I have not heard from farmers specifically on that. I think they're much more worried about the drought and the cost of making money, especially our grain, our row croppers. Obviously, labor issue continues to be a significant challenge in opening up the world to new trade deals, which the President has done a remarkable job on.
Madam Secretary, I wanted to point out, Governor, we have the state of Oklahoma's Secretary of Agriculture with us today, Blaine Arthur.
Secretary Arthur, thank you for being here with us. One of my key people I rely on, in addition to Sid Miller. So, Blaine, great to have you from our neighbor in Oklahoma.
Of course.
How long of a pause do you anticipate, and are you concerned about beef prices spiking?
First, the pause will be as long as it is necessary until we get this under control. As it began to move northward, this was one of the first briefings I had. I was announced on November 23rd of last year as President Trump's selection. I had my hearing January 22nd or 23rd, I believe, and then sworn in on February 13th. This particular issue has been at the top of the list from the very moment that I was announced. Under the Vilsack administration, they were, working on it, not quite at the same aggressive level that we are, not surprisingly, but this has been around for a long time. We expect with these announcements and the aggressive strategy to begin to push back the screwworm, but when it was even at 1,100 miles from the Texas border, which is where we believed it had stopped until we got the report about 4 weeks ago that it was within 370 miles. Even then, we were shutting the ports down. So we've got a lot of data to collect. We've got a lot of work to do, but we have to protect our cattle industry and our beef industry in this country, and in so doing, protect our food supply, and in so doing, protect our national security for America. Do we expect beef prices to continue to rise? Perhaps, but the safety and the security of our beef and our ranchers has to be at the top of the list. The other thing I'll say is that you know, the vision perhaps is that we begin to rely even more on American cattle producers, that we give them even more of a market, that we open that up. President Trump's vision of America first is an America where you are not so reliant on the rest of the world to feed and fuel and to provide the fiber that we need in this country. And perhaps a silver lining long term is that we continue to build out our beef industry here in America and not rely on other countries. Yes, sir. I don't believe there's been, based on everything we have in the data, there's no impact yet. I don't want to count that out because there could be eventually, but I believe, and this is more hypothetical than anything based on data, but without us taking these significant, very aggressive steps, and by the way, this is not just, you know, USDA and me sitting up in Washington saying, let's do this. This discussion has been at the very top level. I've talked to President Trump specifically about it. He was obviously very interested and wanted to know all the details about what a new world screwworm was in only President Donald Trump fashion, and we went into great detail on that. But he has said whatever we need to do to, A, protect our farmers and our ranchers. He has been unequivocal and resolute in his support of our agriculture industry across this country. I have to say there's never been a president, at least in our lifetimes, that has been more so than President Trump. But obviously his promise to the American people last year to, number one, secure the border, but number two, work on the cost of living for all everyday and average Americans, that is all very, very important to him. I believe sincerely without these very, very aggressive steps that the screwworm would have gotten to our border already and would have already been in our country. So we're doing everything we can to stop it, but also with Plan B and Plan C, talking about the FDA and how we would treat it as if it does get closer. We don't believe it will, but what we need to do in those instances as well. Thank you.
Why not put this on the special session call with this issue?
So listen, as usual, the options are always on the table. What's on the table right now is a record-breaking amount of funding and strategy coming from the Trump administration, and we need to calibrate what the needs are in Texas in the aftermath of this incredible announcement today.
One last question. One more question.
Governor, can I ask a question about the special session?
You can. I'll come back to you. This topic is so very important. If there's another question concerning the screwworm, we've got to hand that back here.
How long do you think it will take for the facility at Moore Air Base to come online?
Thank you. That's actually a really, really great question. The good news is Moore Air Base is already there. The infrastructure is there. It won't happen tomorrow or next week, but we are fast tracking in every possible way. Hopefully within a year, we'll have that moving. And again, that 300 million additional sterile flies, in addition to what we're already producing in Panama and Mexico, should allow us to eradicate and control this forever for the distant future, but in the near future, also putting these other steps in place to really move it back immediately is important as well.
Governor, what's your reaction to Governor Newsom in California introducing legislation yesterday that seeks to basically eliminate all the Republican districts there, all 9, at least according to Politico?
Okay.
How is Texas going to respond if you are?
For one, it's a joke, but also according to Politico, 2/3 of his state disagree with him on that. And for him to be able to get anything passed, he has to have 2/3 of the state agree with him on it. It's a joke. He's posturing for the presidency and doing nothing more than that. He's all talk and no action.
Governor, I'm sorry. I was talking to some of the GOP House, Texas House members, and they had mentioned the possibility of redistricting state House districts as well. That would have to obviously get added to the call. Do you have any thoughts on that? And also whether you might add more seats? I know you've been talking about that on the congressional level to be redistricted because of this forum.
Every strategy is at play. Depends on when and whether the Democrats show up. You know, they They talk as though they're going to be showing up today or tomorrow. We'll wait and see. But we hold a lot more bullets in our belt that we'll be ready to use if we need to. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Good job.
Thank you.